Obviously, when I was using more gear the first time, right, when I was also using the trend and stuff, I would blow up. But not that I would say like this was the best. The best thing is
when you were building up your physique to begin with. Now, obviously, I think you would probably say, as I don't know if, like, for me, I know for a fact most people's physiques you can maintain a lot with like 125 tests, for example, but to like build what you got, like, was there a certain amount of shit you felt like you needed to use to get the physique
yeah.
that you could then maintain with the 125? Like, what was like your best, most productive cycle you felt like?
Oh man, the thing is, so I would first get on the cycle, right, and I would be like 105, 107 kgs. But for me, it was always like I gain muscle, I go off, and I would always stay on the diet, literally, like in a deficit. So I would go off and not try to bulk and maintain as much as I can, but I'm more likely to try to stay in the best shape possible. So I would lose a lot of muscle, then I jump back on, then I would gain muscle again, then I would lose muscle again, then I would gain. Obviously, when I was using more gear the first time, right, when I was also using the trend and stuff, I would blow up. But not that I would say like this was the best. The best thing is 250 test. Trust me, this is for most people more than enough, because everyone thinks like they need some crazy cycle, insulin, GH, and all that stuff, and trend, whatever. No, dude, just like 250 is already crazy in compared to natural. So you can just stay on two. I know people that stayed on 250 for like 1.5 years and were just still bulking, and they have more muscles than me by a lot. So it doesn't always mean more gear brings you more muscle. In the short time, it might get you a lot of side effects, and it might make you feel really bad, and you might get acne, and you might get a lot of more problems when you chase it from this fast way. Right? It taking time while gaining muscle prevents the stretch marks, prevents many things.
So if you could go back in time, instead of doing like, I'm assuming you probably did like bigger cycles when you were like young 20s that didn't really know what you were doing. If you could go back in time, would you just be like 250 kind of like almost year round and just like slowly gain? Or would you still
Yeah.
come off? Or like what kind of approach would you take to your, would you ever go above 250 for your physique that you got? Or like how would you have
From
approached
I mean,
your,
I would always say maybe like I would 4 months. I would do 4 months on, 2 months off, and then
okay.
just go with 250. Yep, that's what I would say. That would if you would just like try to in 1.5 or 2 years try to get to a really good physique. Yeah, man, just get on some tests for 4 months, then eat, and when you come off, you still keep eating, and then when you jump back on, you start maybe to diet, and you will already see how well it works for you.
Okay.
To giving the receptors some rest sometimes is really needed, because some people they would blast. Yeah, but that's the thing I was thinking, right? So let's say we start at 250, then you go up. Okay, now I don't feel 250 too good anymore, so let's bump it up to 500. Then I swear I was at this one point also back in the days where I would use 3cc, which is 750, and it would still feel like 3 months before 250.
Yeah.
So I would just say, like, man, why immediately? Like, it's like, I don't know, like you season in your food. Yeah, try it, put some more, try it, and maybe it's already enough. Beside, like, you
And
put
you
a
don't
ton
need
of
to like
stuff on
dump
it
the
and you
whole
just,
fucking shaker onto it.
yeah.
Not going to make it any better.
I would say people are losing out on their potential if they bring in too much gear from the start. It
Okay.
it gives it always, this is what you see, like these guys who just look blown up. You see really big shoulders and kind of this, but if they would stop the gear, they immediately would be really skinny again, because it's not actual real muscle.
Gotcha.
So instead of like going through this blowing up process and just like getting big to for no matter what, I would always go from quality muscle gain.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a longer, slower approach is probably like safer and smarter in general, rather than like big fucking cycles and then, crashing because your health has gone to shit or
Yep.
whatever. Yeah, I think like a more conservative approach and like really prioritizing the food and the sleep and whatnot is definitely the move if I could go back in
We
time
need
personally.
we we need to see anyways like this, right? This is why I also not compete, because these guys who competing, they just to be competitive on a pro level, you need to take all these medications.
Mhm.
And so they are torturing their body to then later after competition come off and trying to cleanse because they did so much shit.
Yeah.
And that's why they also need to go on off, yeah, because they are doing all these very bad things to their body where they just deliver enzymes and all that stuff comes up. So I've seen bad blood works as well, and then I'm just like, for what? I
Yeah.
mean, obviously it's the thing is like, how can I say, yeah, I would also like to have a dog right now, but I might not buy it because I might not have enough time for it. So, like just being smart, just like, why would you do some things that you just right now really badly want, but maybe in 2 years you already understand, like, wow, that was really stupid. Why did I do this? Because you in that moment wanted it so badly. But just like overthink and make smart decisions. Like just like, I don't know, only because you have a bottle of test doesn't mean you need to blast through it, like, or how can I say, just know your limits. That's what I say. And just like slowly taper it up. It's like with everything. I don't know, if you drink coffee, you wouldn't just start with 1000 milligrams of caffeine a day, or like
Yeah.
with a pre-workout. So you take one scoop until one scoop doesn't work that well anymore. And then you take maybe 2 scoops. So the body is always adapting, and you always want to have the best results with the least
Chemicals.
chemistry
Yeah.
possible. Yeah, with the least chemistry possible.
Was there like you said you hated Tren, which I think a lot of people hate Tren too because of how the shitty side effects are. Are there certain compounds that you really liked besides stats? Like you mentioned Masteron and Winstrol were kind of like made you look really dry. Was there certain things that you used back in the day that you don't really use now that you thought were like productive? Or even fat burners for helping
That's
cutting?
that's what yeah, the fat one we'll touch on in a second. But that's the thing, like I said, always when I was like, now I want to take something like Masteron to
Yeah.
get in a look better, I would always then eat more for whatever reason and then just fuck it up. So I would just remove everything, go back to my little test levels, and then I would look the best. And I swear, when I would use Masteron, I would just be like my body looked just pumped, right? Like super
Yeah.
pumped, and my face also gets bigger as well. And I just didn't like this. I didn't like the look that you look like you're having a pump 24/7.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned you were going to talk about the fat burners. Do you have experience with things like Clan and
So
T3?
so
Or
let's say, look, so my biceps, let's say it's kind of a skinny arm, but if I'm flexing it, let's say the muscle gets bigger
yeah,
because the blood is getting in. But if I would be on Masteron, it's like I'm flexing and I'm not flexing. It looks like this all the time, You
right,
get my
right.
point? So let's say it would not get like come up like this. It would already be kind of full.
That was like me on
That's what
D-ball.
happens to me if I'm using.
On D-ball, it was like I was flexing if I wasn't even fucking doing anything, just like walking around
Yeah.
like permanently
For,
pumped.
for
Yeah.
the fat burner part, I have to say I need to make a video anyways about your Rauschwoll
Oh,
Johanbein,
Raoul sign.
because Johanbein is the best fat burner in my opinion, because